Hey everyone, I'm Tom Esposito with CMAX Media, and again we're here streaming live with Father Dan Molochko, who's again been our stalwart of coming here and offering us daily mass every morning. So today, we did a big switch up yet last week. We switched sides, which is a big thing.
I'm still not used to it.
I have to kind of roll with the punches. Adapting is the big thing nowadays.
Is this our new normal? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
We're 5.5 feet apart, so okay. I think we're hanging in there. We're a little bit violating, but we're doing our best here. We always do clean down this area and make sure that we're keeping our priests safe. And I'm sure you're doing that as a first responder. So anyway, one of the things that we had talked about, we get a lot of feedback. Sometimes unsolicited, often unsolicited. So when people were talking to us last week, and we want to be listening to what people are asking of us, so they were saying last week, some people were saying, one person said, some of it's a little more harsh, saying, I like the banter more than the substance when you guys get together. Yikes. And then I had another person saying, I love the content. The content is great. So those are kind of like a little conflicting. And then, of course, I go home, and my daughter's telling me, Dad, you're wearing the same shirt every time you're on. And I mean, we're adapting here.
Consistency. But I wear the same shirt every time I'm on, too.
You're not going
No one complains
different.
about,
But at the same time, just for our listening audience's understanding, I just realize now that I just have a lot of pinstripe blue shirts, and that's like my main thing. I've got the rose-colored shirt that I get to wear twice a year.
Nice.
But if I wear it on other days, it's not my color. So anyway, what we thought that we were going to do to be able to be responsive to what the people are out there doing is that we were looking to start taking questions. And they can come in at any time. They don't necessarily come in live here. And obviously today is the first day we're doing it. So you can put the questions through to myself, Father Dan, both of us, one of us, at engage@cmax.tv, or you can put it on the Facebook feed as well. And so for today, we did ask some of the people we know, can you throw through some questions for us? And we want to keep it spontaneous so that we don't have a total preparation for the topic. And so the first one, let's see. Okay, so the first question that we have up here too, Father, this one obviously isn't one that I can answer, even though I have an opinion on everything. What is the effect on the shutdowns on the sacrament of confession? And just in general, because it's kind of cool because our readings today had a lot of stuff, and you talked about confession. So Father.
So, well, at least in our parish cluster, we've kept confession times the exact same as they were beforehand. Okay. We have it set up so that the penitent and the confessor are far enough apart that you're still given privacy, but not next to each other. Right. So ours have relatively stayed the same. We have it on Tuesday evenings. We used to have adoration for an hour and then mass right afterward, and during adoration we'd have confessions.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Now we just have confessions during that hour, and that's it. And I don't think that we've had really a dip or a boom in confessions. Wow. The numbers have stayed pretty consistent, and then we have our usual 3 to 4 p.m. on Saturdays, and that's as well stayed pretty consistent.
Do you think a lot of people just they just assume it's not going on, maybe?
That might be the case. I mean, we try and be as communicative as we can to our people through flock notes and through emails and through, even our bulletins are online and stuff. But I think a lot of people do kind of assume that, the parish is shut down, everything's closed, nothing's working anymore.
Which is sad because I know I was... confessing here right now. My family and I, we went to confession at our parish because it's at St. Matthew's. They had it on Saturday, and the church is open, and it does have has some police tape all over the place, I guess, to help out the thing like that. But one of the women that I was just chatting with from 6 feet away after confession, she was saying she said, I think it's really important that we're still coming here if the church is being made open to it, because if the priests think that nobody's going to be taking advantage of it anyway, they may just say, well, why do I keep it open then with it too? So the importance of that. And let's just be real. A lot of people are home with their family a lot. There's a lot more near occasion for sin going on right now. And but you brought up a good point even during your homily today. Great homily, by the way, Father.
Thanks. But memorable. You couldn't even remember the name of it.
Yeah,
no, I get it.
I forget words right now. It happened when I turned 40 a couple years ago. But anyway, anything else on that topic of confession that you would say before we jump on? Because it's nice questions are coming through.
I mean, this has been my thought pattern since before all of this began with the churches being closed more, that really the church is going to pay attention to what the people want, and they're going to give primacy, I guess, to the things that the people ask for. So I know in a lot of parishes they'll have maybe a half hour, hopefully an hour once per week of confessions. Where, I mean, as a priest, I would love to be offering the sacrament of confession all the time, like, multiple times a week, because I think it is so important that people, understand that we are sinners in need of a Savior.
Right.
And the best way to reconcile ourselves, not only to God, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I just go tell God my sins. Well, that's good for you. But you also sin against humanity that you need to reconcile.
There's no totally personal sin that you vacuum.
Right. So unless you can go to 7 billion people and ask forgiveness from each one of them before you commit another sin, it's easiest just to go to the church's minister in the sacrament of confession. So, I mean, when we start getting back to a usual, or if your church doesn't even offer the sacrament frequently now, ask your priest. Hey, we'd love to have this more. Get a couple of families to ask him, because
don't be afraid you're bothering him.
Right, absolutely. Because we have that caveat now. It's or by appointment.
Right.
Well, what do you think we should be doing all day long? I mean, we have people that run the administrative side of the church, but there's only a few of us who do the sacramental side. So
that's true.
Make my day all.
It doesn't work with the parish secretary.
No, you can't confess to her.
Right.
But you can, but she can't absolve you.
Yeah.
But
kind of the big cherry on top.
Yeah, it should be. Most of what the priest does should be administering sacraments, and so demand of your priest in a nice way the sacraments that you want, and I'm sure that they'll make concessions and make it more available.
And I think to a certain degree, I mean, it may sound strange to say this, but you're doing him a favor in some ways, because you're always reminding him of the gifting that he provides as Father and whatnot with it too. So awesome, we're good. And I just last thought on that thing like that. I've noticed that the young priests, the people who first, and as well as the people who become deacons, it seems to be one of the first things they want to speak on, because they all recognize, I think, after whether it's the time in seminary or whatnot, or the formation, like, this is not being used enough.
Right.
We can't get the Eucharist with the regularity they got it before, but they're still making this sacrament, critical sacrament, available. So,
yeah, and I mean, it's something that I think every priest of at least my generation of priests realizes the value in. And I mean, my license plate is confess.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
It's something that we really like, not because we're weirdos and we want to hear the worst of people, but because we know that it's the most tangible place to feel the grace of the Lord, not only in my ministry, but in the life of the penitent. I mean, it's one of the most powerful things possible. People ask, what is your favorite part of being a priest? And I always tell them, hands down, the Eucharist. Absolutely. And slightly under that is hearing confessions and being that dispenser of the Lord's forgiveness. So,
wow. This is a topic we could talk on forever. And so maybe it will kind of keep coming up in different ways. Because, again, there's a million thoughts on that. But bottom line, encourage everybody to take advantage of that, because it really helps our church. Okay, so second question, how do you see the next month? Because we did just get the word from the president that a lot of the things are intact as far as the social distancing and all like that has now been extended from the 15th, which I think was the 15th Easter. I can't remember if it's
12th.
The 12th is Easter. Yeah. So it was going to be around Easter time, which would have been a wonderful time for them to be lifted. But now it got extended all the way to April 30th, which by some coincidence, that's my baptismal date. I don't know if you didn't confer with me on that too, and now everybody knows that if you want to send any gifts. But how do you see the next month going with the president's advice to continue with restrictions until April 30th? Because I think this kind of speaks to maybe the concept of fatigue, or we talked on Friday about things getting old. How do you see that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we can't be looking for a quick fix. Like, this is a problem that's the world is dealing with. It's not just our particular place in America, not just America. It's the world is dealing with this. So we have to listen to, the people who should have our best interest in mind and hope that they are making these decisions for the common good. So there's an element of trust that we have to have. I think also, practically speaking, there's just a reality check that we have to have with ourselves and say, like, this is not going to be over quick, and it's not going to be, something that we can just bounce back from and say, oh, well, that was a, fun Lent, because it's clearly extending beyond Lent. But I think, again, the point is to find things that bring you joy and bring you peace during this time of confusion and anxiety. A lot of people, as I've been saying in homilies and just in our chats, a lot of people are at home. A lot of people aren't.
Right.
So, you have the two ends of the spectrum of people either being so confined and bored, or those people being overworked and just, they're on the front lines and they are also getting tired, but they're expending themselves. They're pouring themselves out, as St. Paul says. And I just really think that in each case, we can't do it on our own. There's an element that, yes, we can do it through human gusto and stick-to-itiveness, but most of us need to rely on the Lord. I would say all of us need to rely on the Lord and His grace to sustain us in this time, because we can try and just muscle through it and be miserable. Right. Or we can work and toil and offer these times of suffering, these times of just not what we want to have happening, our dying to self, and offer that to the Lord and for the rest of humanity. I mean, redemptive suffering didn't get put on hold since, the government said everything else got put on hold. So we are still able to use all of this, as the morning offering says, our prayers, works, joys, and sufferings, all for the good of Christ and His church and that of humanity.
And as you're saying that, it just kind of strikes me too, because we do tend to be like, we seek the quick fix. We seek the most efficient and whatnot with it too. And again, none of us want this to continue to go on in a way that's, obviously with more people having suffering and whatnot. On the other hand, I won't even say but on the other hand, we could really lose what God's trying to speak to us in this period of time. And like you said, some people, God bless them, they're, whether they lost their job or they're able to work from home or whatnot, which has its own challenges. But there's definitely people I've talked to like, I got nothing going on.
Right.
And then you have like those of us, those first responders, hospital people, and media. Right. We are in a totally different position. Our lives have become a whole lot busier because we're in, maybe you don't think of media as essential, but it is something that is reaching people right now. So we switched up everything here too. And it can get easy to kind of move in the pity party and like, gosh, I'm just so exhausted. And I like, we look at some of the things like, Ashley, our person, she's been going in different directions, and we still have families at home too. You and I, we're up at St. Joseph's and kind of checking up because we want to be able to, in a church, to stream the Triduum, which is coming up next week, and looking how we can do that, And so there's a lot going on for the people too, but there is that exhaustion.
And I would even throw in mental health workers, because they kind of are the catch-all, right? So you have the people who are losing their jobs or financially, hardship right now because their business has to be closed. You have the first responders who are working themselves to the bone, and all of them kind of, and as you the media people, and all of them kind of seek that solace, and I need to talk to someone about it. So, the mental health professionals are really catching everyone's burden. So I think
I think that's going to happen. In this, we got another question, which means they're not going to cut us off at our normal time, which I think, because it's speaking about that, because I do think that's going to be more intense as we go on, because it's getting old. Maybe we'll sustain a little bit more, but it's going to start getting old. And that 30th date on the 30th is like, hey, everything's done with it too. So as the follow-up question, what are you seeing? What advice would you have for the exhausted, the medical professionals especially, and all the people still balancing both work and family while most help for families and children has been shut down, aka school, after-school programs, whatnot. So what advice would you have? And maybe you can kind of hit it from, because you're obviously a paramedic, still have your certs, right? Yeah. And so you see that, because I know that has not been something that stopped for you, because you can help in multiple ways with that. What advice would you have those that are out there, whether they're those first responders or people that are just starting to get frayed?
Yeah. Wow. Didn't know that I would have to be an expert in this. I feel like, no, and I'm being more facetious than anything, but like, I think it is the same regardless of what circumstances or situations we're enduring or we're living through, that you need to have that time for yourself to recharge. Whether you're an extreme extrovert or an introvert, you need that alone time to check in with yourself and see how you're doing. Because I think we can get to that point where we feel like we constantly, if you're at home, you constantly have to provide stimulation for your family. We always have to be doing something, watching something, doing it.
That's what we've been wired to. Well, we've been modified our wiring to need that.
And it's okay to just sit and be still or have quiet time during the day. I can say this because I don't have the children, so it's easy for me to have quiet time. But really trying to just say like, okay, everyone, we're gonna do great things all day long, except this hour. This hour is everyone do their own thing. Everyone be quiet for, small children, it might be this 5 minutes. But
that's a good point.
To take that time for yourself. And if you are being overworked, have that respite, as it were, that calm from the storm, that ability. Maybe it is hanging out with your family members who you're not being able to see and doing something wonderful with them.
Right.
But also if it's not, saying like, it's okay and I need to be mentally strong and I just need this 30 minutes, this 40 minutes where I might look like I'm just sitting and staring at a wall, but for me, that's the recharge that I need. Obviously, incorporating prayer is a huge thing.
I think that's the thing too. Is I think a schedule, kind of, which includes prayer and stuff like that too. Because some people say, well, my downtime is watching, blah blah blah. Right. And if it's something that's also somewhat negative to your soul, that may not be the best thing to choose. Yeah. And we had people say my time, and my time obviously is best when it's us time with like you and God, as opposed to, again, just doing whatever, or, working out in the garden or something like that can be something with it too. But I do think putting yourself in a regimen is something that is important. It's important for the kids when you're at home too, because things have adjusted.
Yeah, and you mentioned working out in the garden, and I just stopped listening after you said working out. So I honestly think that is a huge component of mental health in general, but especially during this time where there's that stress level is heightened. Having a physical activity during the day. I mean, there are so many resources online that for like fitness trainers that are giving away these free programs. Like, hey, we all know we're at home. Do you have a bag of rice? Do you have a book back you can put books in and just put that on your back while you do it? And they're giving all these body weight exercises and these great things just to get your heart rate up, those endorphins flowing, get a good sweat going for 20, 30 minutes in your day. And you'll be amazed at the positivity that has in your mental outlook on life. I mean, St. Ignatius of Loyola said, when done properly, physical activity, exercise can be a form of prayer. So we are,
you take that to an extreme, I think.
I love his thinking when he says that. But I mean, like, we really are body and soul beings, so we can't just be completely contemplative. Like, we have to challenge the body in ways too, because we can't let ourselves become sedentary and just blobs around the house. And
it has a lot to it too.
Yeah.
So again, I am getting the note that, as far as like, okay, that we're, and this is some good topics here, but so make sure you're attending to your spiritual health, physical health, mental health. I mean, because we are integrated human beings, and
Absolutely.
that is part of overall who we are. So again, as we wrap this up, just a reminder, please keep the questions coming through. So at engage@cmax.tv, or you can do it at the facebook.com/cmaxtv. Keep them coming through, because it again, and part of what we're trying to do is not know ahead of time, because I think that adds to the intensity, the excitement, the spontaneity. Good word. You used two good words like in a row that both, I can't remember what you were talking about today, but in your homily it was excellent. I said, I got to remember those two, and I don't.
They're recorded. You can go back and watch that.
I can go back and watch that. So again, please share with your friends. We've learned that the Mass, they have between 500 and 900 households that are checking in, and that's motivation to us to recognize that we want to keep this going for you all, for however long this new normal lasts. So, so Father, if you can again close this, I think I forgot the last time to have you close this with a blessing. Sure. But thank you again for coming, and we'll keep praying for Father in the ministry that he's doing too, and all that we're trying to do here at CMAX as well.
Absolutely. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Go in peace.
Thanks be to God. Take care, everyone.